Welcome to the show. I know you guys are liking those giveaways, and this time it's going to be the best one yet. Are you ready for this giveaway? I want to invite you to join me for dinner at one of my favorite restaurants. That's right, dinner with the great Eldersky. You heard me right. Fine dining with yours truly. We can talk about anything you want, and I'll answer all your questions. Well, mostly all of your questions. It'll be a great time for sure. So hurry up and go to winlarry.com to sign up. I'm going to be announcing the winner live on February 22nd, so make sure to stay tuned. And last but not least, a big thank you to everybody who joined the giveaway for this mug. You better use it every single time you watch my show. Now let's get into today's show, shall we? You remember the Russia-Trump collusion investigation, right? Well, one of the FBI agents investigating it, turns out, was in bed with the Russians.
A former FBI counterintelligence agent is accused of secretly working for a Russian billionaire he was investigating. Charles McGonigal was charged in an indictment that was unsealed today. Federal prosecutors in Manhattan allege McGonigal helped the Russian who was under investigation. He's charged with money laundering and violating U.S. sanctions. And in a separate indictment in Washington, McGonigal is accused of taking $225,000 in secret cash payments. McGonigal retired from the FBI in 2018.
What?
Though FBI Director Chris Wray says in a statement, quote, "The way we maintain the trust and confidence of the American people is through our work, showing when all the facts come out that we stuck to the process and we treated everyone equally, even when it is one of our own. The FBI will go to great lengths to investigate and hold accountable anyone who violates the law, including when the individual is an FBI employee." The indictment says McGonigal began this work in August 2017 and through and after his retirement from the FBI a year later. Oleg Deripaska is a Russian businessman the U.S. Treasury Department sanctioned in 2018, accusing him of ties to the Kremlin, money laundering, extortion, racketeering, and ordering the murder of a businessman. Deripaska was also a client of Paul Manafort, who was Donald Trump's campaign manager for a few months in 2016. In 2018, Manafort was convicted of financial crimes. McGonigal was a senior intelligence official in Washington before October 2016 and likely would have at least been briefed when Crossfire Hurricane, the Trump-Russia investigation, began the previous July.
He was the former FBI special agent in charge of the New York field office, retired in 2018, was involved, as I mentioned, in the Trump-Russia collusion investigation, and is now charged with a 9-count indictment. You cannot make this up. When we come back, crickets over the anti-police violence in Atlanta. Are the Biden administration's New Year's goals of tax and spend and turn a blind eye to inflation at odds with your goals of securing your savings? When you finally had enough of the games government is playing with your savings and retirement, diversify into gold with Birch Gold. I know I'm tired of my money being impacted by stupid decisions by leaders in Washington. I bet you are too. For over 5,000 years, gold has withstood inflation, geopolitical turmoil, and stock market crashes. And here's the great news. You can still get it. In fact, you can own gold and silver in a tax-sheltered retirement account. Birch Gold makes it easy to convert an IRA or 401k into an IRA in precious metals. Here's what you need to do. Just visit LarryForGold.com to claim your free info kit on gold. With almost 20 years experience converting IRAs and 401ks into precious metal IRAs, Birch Gold can help you protect yourself with gold today by visiting LarryForGold.com. They've got an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, thousands of happy customers, and countless 5-star reviews. So, secure your future with gold. Start today with a free info kit. There's zero obligation to make this request. Just visit LarryForGold.com. That's LarryForGold.com. Why are the anti-police attacks involving Antifa in Atlanta being ignored by the media?
Violent Antifa thugs are calling for a night of rage against law enforcement tomorrow after police shot and killed a man because he started shooting at a state trooper without warning. Police say it was in self-defense. Cops were raiding an autonomous zone that was set up to protest a proposed law enforcement training center. The sickening call for violence was posted on Twitter but taken down. It called for, quote, reciprocal violence to be done to the police and their allies. But Georgia cops aren't backing down to the threats.
But still a very active scene in downtown Atlanta. Eric, it again started as a largely peaceful protest, actually a completely peaceful protest. They wanted what they called justice for their friend who was killed at the park on Wednesday morning as law enforcement raided the park to clear out activists. Unfortunately, a person was killed. According to the GBI, they told us yesterday.
Garland to explain that? Is anyone going to ask what Antifa is? Who leads this group? How many more riots do they have to lead before the New York Times gets interested and does a 5-part series on what is this? Who are these people? Who pays for this? Where do they stay at night? What's their background? Give us some news on Antifa. They're the biggest armed militia in the United States, and we know nothing about them. Why? Because they're aligned with the Democratic Party. But they're telling you the real threat is rural voters with AR-15s, assault weapons. You must disarm Republican voters. No thanks. Disarm? Why don't you go ahead and disband Antifa? Go full RICO on them. Let's find out who their leaders are. Let's see them in jail. Then maybe you can tackle street crime and then pay a little bit of attention to the drug cartels that control the southwestern United States. And then maybe at that point, you will convince some people to register their AR-15s. But until you do that, up yours.
Didn't the Attorney General say that domestic terrorists pose a great threat to our republic? But he didn't mean domestic terrorists coming from the left, did he?
That whenever they come out and erupt in violence, attacking police officers and attacking businesses in cities like my city, in Atlanta, in Georgia, we need to make sure that they're arrested and charged with domestic terrorism charges, just like the GBI did this past weekend. Enough of Antifa. They are not the anti-fascists. They are the fascists. And they always show up and they defend Democrat causes. Not only do they attack police, but they defend the drag queens, targeting our children with drag queen story time. They go after people when they're not vaccinated and demand they get vaccinated and wear masks during the so-called pandemic.
Now I've got a question. Which will happen first? The Supreme Court investigators will find out who leaked the Dobbs decision, or O.J. Simpson will find the killer or killers of Ron and Nicole?
Well, here's my message to the leaker. Congratulations, butthead. You almost got a member of the United States Supreme Court killed and his family. What a narcissist. You obviously think your personal politics are more important than the sanctity of the United States Supreme Court. I don't mean any disrespect to the Chief Justice. I was disappointed in his report. I think this is the Chief Justice's way of saying, we're not going to find out who the leaker is. And if we do know, we're not going to tell you. We want to move on. I think that's a mistake.
Wow. Biden claims when he was growing up, cops were trained to shoot to kill.
You know, when I was coming up as a kid, cops were required to learn to shoot to kill. Well, you ought to be able to shoot to stop. Everything shouldn't be an extreme. So the way we train police officers is changing.
Really? No, Mr. President. The police were trained to shoot to stop, just as they are now. Joe Biden apparently thinks encounters with bad guys who pose deadly threat, Biden says tomato.
That's what I asked Kamala.
I'm asking for your trust and support in 2020 for Kamala and me.
But as Kamala said,
it's not Kamala. It's Kamala.
It could be a lot worse.
Bonuses, well, bankers just should turn around and give more money to charity. He made that statement in London yesterday during a discussion of morality in the marketplace. Well, tell that to the guys making $10 an hour. Joining me now to talk about this and the nation's real problem of joblessness, the Reverend Al Sharpton. What's your reaction to hearing someone say, when it comes to income inequality, all's well. The rising tide floats all boats.
I'm Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Right. I'm so sorry. The script in front of me said Reverend Al Sharpton. I'm looking at your face. I know who you are, Reverend Jackson. We all do. I'm sorry.
Now, Elon Musk does not appear to have a whole lot of confidence in our commander-in-chief.
But it's not as if Biden has flipped the script and said, okay, we're going to go 180 degrees in the other direction. He's kind of kept it the same.
Man, it's hard to tell what Biden's doing, to be totally frank. The real president is whoever controls the teleprompter. If somebody would accidentally lean on the teleprompter, it's going to be like Anchorman. It's going to be like QQQ ASDF 123, type of thing.
Now hit that like button because I know you like the show. Hit subscribe and scroll down in the bottom and get on our mailing list to make sure you don't miss any of our vids. Because believe it or not, from time to time, apparently YouTube has issues with some of our videos. To make sure you don't miss anything, you got to get on our mailing list. And you see that big round donate button? Hit that, throw a little something in the tip jar. Make sure that you still can get our hard-hitting programming. And remember, LarryWithEpoch.com, LarryWithEpoch.com.